So, do you have any new updates for us this morning?
Okay, we always have new updates. We are officially getting ready to break ground in the month of August on our first assisted living facility, and it has been quite the experience. The reason why we're excited about this, Kay, is because of the simple fact that we realize that we have to get into passive income producing businesses. And what I mean by that is those businesses that once you set it, your client base is already in place, your customer base is already in place, like a subscription. Your Netflix, you got Netflix, right? I remember when Netflix came out, I was paying $2.99. That's when they was trying to put Blockbuster out of business. I just looked at my Netflix the other day. It is now up to $17.99. From $2.99 to $17.99. That's a passive residual income producing business, because whoever the CEO of Netflix wake up or not, or whether he goes to the office or not, that $17.99 coming out of my account like clockwork. Exactly. And you just multiply that by 7 million people, or however many or so million people. That's a lot of gadonkins. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about those residual passive income producing businesses. Those businesses that are just going to generate revenue regardless of anything else that you do. That business, of course, you have to maintain the quality of it. But in terms of having to actually deliver a service, work a service to generate that revenue, we are now shifting our focus on those. So we're also getting into the business of buying businesses. We're now going to be starting to focus on acquiring small businesses. We think that over the past 9 years, we've been doing this as a company, that we have learned a formula for success. And one of the most critical things in any business is putting the right people in place. So sometimes people are just ready to exit their industry, and there's so many different small businesses under the umbrella of construction that it's a great opportunity for us to expand. Again, just making sure that we can reach each and every client that we possibly can to give them an elite experience that we strive for every day. That's the whole mantra of our company, making sure we're client obsessed, that every client has an elite experience and whatever service we're fortunate to provide for them. So that's what's new, Kay. Really going to be focusing a lot of my attention on getting that construction going next month, and we're excited about that. Of course, other projects are coming along as follows. We just picked up a client who is looking to do something very interesting. We are having to go into her attic space and figure out how to put 2 bedrooms, a full bath, and a kitchenette up there. She actually, when you go to these neighborhoods, they kind of give you the frame, and you can do all these options, right? And you can modify all these things within the structure of those architectural drawings. So in this case, she could have added the loft and the bedroom up there during the time of her new build construction. She chose not to. Fast forward 9, 10, 11 years later, you got all kind of insulation up there. It's not open, so it's going to be really quite interesting how I go in with the structural engineer and we figure out how to minimize her costs by not having to tear her whole roof off and install new truss, but also giving her the space that she and her family need. She has, taken in her mother, taken in her sister, taken in her sister and her daughter. So the space just needs to be expanded, and we're very fortunate to win that contract. Just spoke to her yesterday, and I'll be meeting with her to just go over the final things so we can get her ready for construction. So every week we're very blessed, we're very fortunate to acquire new clients. Ms. Mignon, yes? Still haven't signed you yet. Capitol Hill client who's doing a major gut renovation job, but we're looking forward to signing her as well. So every week, Kay, there's something new. We did have a challenge the last Coffee Talk with Doc. Where we with that challenge, man? People just don't like to get up on the 6 o'clock grind. Okay, there's a book called The 5 a.m. Club. Phenomenal book. And it talks about, man, just the power of ceasing your day and being part of the 5 a.m. Club and just getting up at 5 a.m. I forget the author of it. I don't even remember all of these authors. So much this little peanut head can hold. Man, you really live a different life when your body, it's like being levitated up out of bed and the spirit moves you and you just land on your feet before 5 a.m. in the morning. Like you're on a different level, man. People just, they sleep so much.
Well, that's awesome information. All right, so this is a great conversation because you just mentioned we're doing an attic. Mm-hmm. So the topic today is renovation or rebuild.
Renovation or rebuild, okay.
How to know what makes sense when it comes to your home. So the first question, what are the top 3 signs that a home is better off being torn down and rebuilt instead of renovated?
Cost versus value. If it cost you more to renovate, or almost just as much the same cost to renovate to get the end desired home that you want, it's a no-brainer. Just tear the house down for a few extra $1,000, 10, 20. Sometimes we've seen spreads as little as $30,000, where you're getting all new framing, you're getting all new electrical wiring, you're getting all new HVAC ducts. You don't have to worry about any mold buildup that we just don't see that has been accumulating in those units. Some houses in DC were built in the late 1890s, literally. We worked on houses that were built in the 1890s. On average, some of the older row homes, you'll see them being built around the 1920s, anywhere from the 1920s to the 1940s. We have some houses built in the early 1900s. But this is DC, a very historic, old community, and these houses are old. These houses are now over 100 years old, literally. So when you start thinking about, do you want timber from 100 years, the original timber from 100 years ago, the original electrical wiring? And it's really cool to see some of this stuff, seeing what we use today versus what they were using, 100 years ago. It's a really cool thing. So do you really want 100-year-old stuff in your house versus just tearing that stuff out and resetting the clock for the next 100 years? And that's what it simply comes down to. Just making sure that you're getting the best quality products, the best quality equipment, the best quality material for your home, this place you're gonna live. I mean, one of the things that people really underestimate, right now, I got a trick for you, and I got a trick for anybody out there listening. When was the last time you changed your air filters in your house? That's to you first, Kay. When was the last time you changed the air filters in your house? Do you even know where the air filters are in your house for your HVAC system? Do you not know you allow mold spores and all kind of different bacterial spores and fungi just travel airborne through your home, and you inhale and you breathe that stuff? Now imagine that stuff has been going through your system and it latches on and it starts to grow, and you will never ever know because you haven't changed those ducts out in 100 years. That's 100 years of microbacterial buildup just in your duct systems alone. So yeah, to answer your question, it is best, especially based on the age of your home, to just tear out and just rebuild and start from anew, because you're going to be much happier in the end. You're going to have a much quality home in the end, and your quality of air is going to be much better, that you go home and you breathe every day in your sleep when you're sleeping for 8, 10, 12 hours. See, I had to tie that back in.
Yeah. So how does that work with like historic preservation in a sense? Like, how do you know if your home or your building is historic?
Well, all of these municipalities will have historical preservation divisions. And in those historical preservation divisions, they're looking at preserving a home from one of two ways. First, the exterior elevation and the architectural elemental design of the home. Sometimes you see these really fancy, beautiful mansards, or you see these emblems, or you see a certain way that a brick design is actually done on the elevation of the home. They will historically preserve that and will not allow you to touch that. And I respect that, because those elements give a home, which gives the neighborhood just the beautiful, rich character that makes that neighborhood a very distinctive, defined neighborhood and community that people want to live in. And they appreciate the historical preservation of those elements. The second thing that they do to preserve the home is also the finishes, the windows and the doors. Sometimes if you do change the windows, and you have to, they make sure that you go back with a window that is almost identical or very closely matched to the window or the front door that was originally on the home. And there's a review board that you have to submit this paperwork to in order to get the proper permitting to do the home on these historical homes. So I think it's a great thing. Some communities, like in DC, they have what is called an ANC, and that ANC commissioner is responsible for making sure that people are being consistent in the community and preserving, the historical elements of the community. And they have a say in what you can and cannot do a lot of times. So that's the process in a nutshell, regardless of where you are anywhere across the country. Can't speak for places outside of the United States, but those divisions of the municipality will kind of like be the governing bodies to make sure that those historical elements are preserved as much as possible.
Okay. That's good information. All right, so next question. What's the average cost per square footage for a full renovation versus a custom rebuild in the DMV?
So everything's gone up now. Truth of the matter is, we really haven't experienced the impact of tariffs. I haven't seen it in our construction goods and products yet. Right now, I mean, that could easily change any given day with, who's in the Oval Office, and things are just, you never know from day to day. I'm gonna leave that right there. But on average, in this area, in the DC area, you can get a nice renovation. I mean, mid-grade finishes. We're not talking about the builder's grade stuff. That's not quality stuff. It's just stuff you put in there to make look good for the next year, and then 1 year after that, stuff is falling apart. Builder's grade material. We're talking about $130 to $140 a square foot. If you're doing a custom build, again, custom is different from builder to builder. And what builders include in their custom package as far as a base package is concerned, that varies from builder to builder. But you should be able to, this market right now, and just builders anticipating, making sure that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. We have to go back to the client and say, hey, your materials have gone up 20, 30%. Right now, we are building at about 190 to about 205 a square foot based on the finishes that the client wants. That's what causes that $15 increase. About 2 years ago, we could build in the high 160s, low 170s a square foot. And that was 2 years ago, but things go up. The cost of construction costs more now. We don't have a workforce of construction workers that would do a lot of the grunt work. Those people have moved on, or they're doing something else because they're just not as abundant out there as they used to be. So those things factor into the cost of what it costs per square foot to build a home, whether it's custom or whether it's a renovated project that we're looking at the cost build out per square foot.
Okay. All right, so last question. What's one thing homeowners never ask their contractor but absolutely should before they start?
Simple question. Have you thought of everything so that there are not any change orders when you start this project? And if there will be change orders that you can't guarantee right now, could you please walk me through what you, as my contractor who does this every day, should prepare me to expect and anticipate in the event that we hit those crossroads? So again, can you assure me that this is the final price of my contract and we've covered everything? And if there are some things that could potentially create a change order, please tell me what are those things so I can prepare for those things. I can plan for those things. And then of course, you, the contractor, can hold me, the homeowner, accountable to say, we discussed this before you started my project. That's where a lot of clients fall out. That's where a lot of clients feel like contractors are getting over them when they come in one price and every time you turn around, it's a change order, it's a change order, it's a change order. It's our responsibility as contractors to properly educate and inform our clients of the construction process from start to finish. What are some of those barriers to construction based on the area in which we're building for clients? What are some of those things that we just can't see because we don't have x-ray vision that may cost you a cost to go up behind your walls that we don't want to prematurely charge you for, but could be a real cost once we take the 100-year plaster off the walls and your framing is deteriorating on load-bearing walls and we got to rebuild those walls out in this renovation and we just wasn't planning for that. But we'll be able to show you that your load-bearing walls are crumbling and those things need to be reinforced, but you just can't see that until you start to get into the construction. So just looking at the construction in its totality, whether it's a small project to a large-scale project, it's our jobs as contractors to sit the client down in a formal setting for them to understand the construction process. And then it's also our job to just walk them through the project and point out things that, the client, they want to save money on the front end. Okay, you want to save your interior doors. Okay, when we start ripping this out, we're going to rip all this trim from around your door because that trim is deteriorating, and we're going to attempt to save this jamb in this frame as much as possible. Now, if we cannot save it, we're not putting the cost of those door slabs in your proposal. Now, if you do decide to change it somewhere down the line, then you'll know that whatever the cost of those slabs are, plus what the contractor's markup is, you'll tell the client that. So again, we have a markup. That's how we make money. That's nothing abnormal. They are prepared for that. They knew that this was coming. They can say that, oh yeah, we talked about that. So when you do have to change pricing or increase pricing for anything in a project, the client has already been made well aware of what those potential increase in costs could be. Pleasure. I'm always humble to share whatever knowledge I have in this space that we call real estate, that we call construction, so that again, it makes your journey that much easier and it makes you be in a position of having an elite experience. But yes, if you're looking to renovate, build, consult, if you need anybody to buy or sell your home, please look us up, The Doctor Real Estate, Dr. Walter Bowman. Just Google our name, Google our company, and we're here to serve you in the Maryland, DC, Virginia, and Florida area. So please reach out, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you and see how we can be of assistance. Till next time, I'll see you at our next construction site.